I don't know who need to hear this, but it's okay to pray for a husband. Listen, I was laying in my bed. I didn't want to get up. But sometimes my spirit is just like, get up. Somebody need to hear this. But if it's you, Most High have heard your thoughts and your prayers. As women, a lot of us has been doing this for so long on our own. And we're very independent. So most of the times we're like, I don't need a man. That's how I was. But I remember one day I was living in the Bronx and I was sitting in my living room and I had just broke up with someone. And I said to the Most High, I don't want to keep going in relationships after relationships after relationships. And every relationship I'm in, I'm sleeping with somebody. And I remember that night I said, Most High, if you send me a husband, I'll do this. And I felt like that night I bargained with the Most High. And some people say you can't do that. But I'm telling y'all my experience, what happened for me, how I got a good man, a good husband. Then things started happening to me. They raised my rent. And I'm like, I can't afford this rent. And I went back to the Most High. I'm like, what's happening? You know, I'm trying to do good in life. And every step I take forward, it feel like I'm falling back. But Most High had a plan. I didn't know it at the time. I remember I got my income tax check in 2013. And I was going to pay the rent off for a couple of months. And I said, My spirit said, go find you somewhere else to live. And I went on Google and I typed in cheap houses and Pennsylvania popped up. And I said to myself, Pennsylvania? I'm not moving to no Pennsylvania. So every time I kept typing in cheap houses, Pennsylvania kept popping up. And I said to myself, I am not leaving New York. But something came over me a few days later. I went back on Google and I typed it in again and Pennsylvania came up. And then I clicked on the house. I called the landlord and the landlord said, can you be down here in 2 weeks? I did that. I went down, I met him, and I moved down 3 weeks later after getting a transfer from my job. When I moved down alone. It was just my daughter and I. I had no one else down there. I was so afraid. But if I didn't move down, I would have been homeless because the rent in New York City was getting too high for me. Now, when I got down there, it was hard for me because this was so different from New York. It was the suburbs, Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, in the middle of nowhere. I don't even know how I found it. I needed a car. I didn't even have my license because in New York, I didn't need it. I jumped on the train and on the bus. Like I said, it was pretty hard down there for me. About after 6 months, things started coming together because I was working a whole town away from where I lived at. I got the transfer, but I didn't know how far the job was from the house that I got. So after a couple of months, I'm like, this is too hard for me. Then I was at the Chinese restaurant one day, and this guy, he was just like, hey, how you doing? And I'm from New York. Now I got an attitude because I'm annoyed. I'm coming from work. I don't feel like talking. But he was cute, and I was like, I'm okay. And we exchanged numbers. He was a little younger than me. So I was like, I just gave him my number. Maybe we could talk because I knew nobody down there. He was the first guy that I met that, I met guys, but not really giving them my number, just hi and bye, how you doing? You feel me? So I gave him a chance and a couple of months passed. We started hanging out, seeing each other, but I was saying to myself, that's not it because he's younger. And they always say younger guys, when the girl is older or the woman is older, it's not going to work out. So I had in my mind like, and I don't have time for games with these little boys. That's what I was saying in my head. But y'all not even going to believe what happened. So after spending some time with him, I started taking a liking to this guy. You get what I'm saying? So we started hanging out a little bit more. I didn't allow him to meet my daughter. It took a while for him to meet my daughter because I felt like it wasn't going to go anywhere. I didn't want it to go anywhere because, again, he was younger than me. But after hanging with him for like a couple of months, 7, 8 months, I think it was, I decided to give it a shot with him. So we was like, okay, we dealing with each other now. And life definitely changed for me. I still had some things that I had to deal with internally because I have been through so much in prior relationships. I even been through relationships where I was being disrespected, and a lot of that disrespect let me lose my self confidence. So I never felt pretty at all. I don't know. was dealing with so much. So we used to sit there and have conversations, and he used to just stare at me, and I used to just feel uncomfortable, and I used to ask him, why are you always staring in my face like that? And he used to be like, because you're so pretty. But I never believed him because, again, I've been through so much that I didn't believe how beautiful I was. I just didn't believe it. I felt like I was damaged goods. I just don't know how to explain it. I just been through a lot in relationships, especially with my daughter father. I was done after that. I wasn't trying to fall in love. I wasn't trying to get married. I wasn't trying to even be in a relationship, but this one just happened. All right, so a few months passed, and he said to me one day, he said, I got to tell you something. And I'm like, what? And I looked at him and I said, what? What you got to tell me? And he said, I love you. And I was like, you don't love me. And then he laughed it off. I think we both laughed it off. But after a few months later, I went back to him and I said, I love you, and he said it back, and it started going up from there. And we have now been together for 11 years. After our third year, he asked to marry me. We found the Most High together. Now, we have always loved the Most High. But sometimes when you love the Most High, you don't have that connection. I felt like I've always loved the Most High. But the connection that I have now with the Most High, I have never had it like this before. And I felt like we got that connection together. Ladies, the men that you marry, the man that you marry, you guys have to be on the same page when it comes to loving the Most High. You have to be equally yoked, because if you guys are not on the same page, it's not going to work. If you fall in love with a man that don't feel the same about the Most High, or if a man fall in love with a woman that don't feel the same about the Most High like he does, it's not going to work. That's why a lot of marriages don't work. Y'all have to be equally yoked. You can agree with me or not, but I'm telling y'all, I love my husband so much. And one of the hardest things that I had to do was allow him to be a man and allow him to lead. We have to trust our husbands enough to allow them to lead. Now, you don't just let any man lead. A man that leads you have to love the Most High. And he have to be a good man, a righteous man, because some of these men will lead you off the cliff, girl. And your spirit will always tell you if something ain't right. If this is not the man for you, it's going to be issues behind issues, problems behind problems. Things are going to continue to happen. That's when you know that's not the man for you. But when Most High send you a man to become your husband, not a boyfriend. Of course, you're going to be boyfriend in the beginning, but getting to know each other. But when Most High send you that boyfriend that's supposed to be your husband, it's going to come all together. It's going to be so easy. It's going to be so easy to allow him to lead, to provide, to protect. Girl, and that's the best feeling. You hear me? I get so excited just talking about my husband. He still gives me butterflies because he's a good man. So ladies, it's okay to pray for a husband and to ask the Most High to send you a good husband. Yeah, because I love my husband. He does everything for us. We have Bible study. We pray together. We talk about the Most High together. It's a beautiful thing. It is. And I hope you find that for you. And I know you will. Keep praying.